Okay, Professor Wang, you can start.
Okay, good evening in Vancouver and good morning in Beijing, I think also in Asia. This is our virtual conference series. Was organized by Asia Pacific for Young Scientist Association and Asia Force Research Center at UBC, Asia Pacific Force Education Coordination Mechanism, and also the ABC National Park Research Center. It was sponsored by APFNet, is Asia Pacific Forestry Network. So today we're very fortunate to have the Professor Peng, is from a professor in School of the Management in Minzu University of China. His title is Further Limiting the Potential of the Tourism as an Alternative Livelihood for Local Residents in the National Park of China. So before I give the floor to Professor Peng, I will invite Dr. Wu to give short introduction to the Dr. Peng. Dr. Wu. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Thank you, Professor Wang. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Peng, Peng JIan, into our seminar today. As the professor just mentioned, Dr. Peng is a professor of tourism at the School of Management in Minzu University in China. He received his PhD in geography from Peking University. He has a very broad research interest and study field covered from geomorphology and land use, land cover change analysis to tourism management. Dr. Peng worked also in United States as a visiting scholar twice. And his recent funded research project focused on mainly on national parks management and the tourism sustainable development. That's why we invited him here and to introduce his research work. Professor Peng has involved with more than 20 research and planning projects. He has published more than 70 papers in academic journals. Without further ado, Professor Peng, please, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wu. Thank you for a kind introduction. And thank you, Professor Wang, for your invitation. It's a great honor for me to have this chance to share my knowledge and research on national parks of China. Now, I would like to share my screen. Okay. Okay, can you see the screen I share?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Okay. So today my talk is about the factors limiting the potential of tourism as an alternative livelihood for local residents in national parks of China. Actually, this is not an easy topic for me because I haven't visited all the national parks of China, just visited some of them. But I found this topic is very important and also very interesting. I will try to share all my knowledge about this topic based on my field investigation in some national parks of China. So in my talk, I will address 4 sections. The first is the process and progress of national park creation in China. And the second is the status quo of tourism development in the existing national parks of China. And the third one is the role of tourism in alleviating the livelihood difficulty of local residents caused by park creation. And finally, the factors limiting the potential of tourism as a alternative livelihood for park residents. So first, I would like to give you a very brief introduction to the process and progress of national park creation in China. As you may know, China has created a large system of particular protected area. The first protected area in China was the Dingfushan Nature Reserve in Guangdong Province, which is established in 1956. And since that, China has established a large number of protected areas, which is mainly composed of nature reserves, scenic and historical areas, and a lot of nature parks, such as a geological park, forest park, wetland park, desert park, glacier park, and so on. So all the protected areas cover an area of nearly 2.2 million square kilometers in total. That covers nearly 23% of the land territory of China. So from this table, you can see the amount of the protected areas of China. Altogether, there are 9,719 different types of protected areas. So it's huge. And nature reserve are the most important one. Most important protected areas in China. It is established to protecting a lot of different things, including natural ecosystems and wild animals. So in terms of national park is a latecomer in the Chinese protected area family. So next, I would like to say some key events in China's effort to establish a national park system. The idea of national park was practiced actually it's very early. It can be dated back to 1996. In 1996, southwestern China's Yunnan province began to explore how to practice the idea of national park with the help of the Nature Conservancy, that is TNC, environmental NGO from USA. Maybe you know this NGO. And the goal of which is to solve the contradiction between protecting and the use of the natural resources in the province. Not until 2007, it's almost 10 years later, Yunnan province declared the establishment of its first national park, that is the Potential National Park, with the admission and support of National Forestry Administration of China. After that, Yunnan province established more national parks. I remember it's about 12 national parks in total in Yunnan province, established by this province. These pictures you can see is the gate. This one is the gate of the Potential Pilot National Park. And this is the scenery preserved in the national park. It's very, very beautiful. And 1 year later, in 2008, northeastern China's Heilongjiang province also declared establishing a national park called Tangwanghe National Park. This effort was supported by China's National Tourism Administration and the Ministry of Environmental Protection. However, all these so-called national parks are not recognized as true national parks in China because they are created and managed just by local governments instead of the central government. Until 2013, the central government of China decided to establish its own national park system and to use it as a tool to promote the eco-civilization in the country. Eco-civilization, as you may know, is a very important strategy adopted by Chinese government to achieve sustainable development. It marks the formal beginning of the national park system establishment at national level instead of local level. So from 2015 to 2021, 10 different places in total were designated as pilot national parks, including Sanjiangyuan, Qilianshan, 大熊猫 means giant panda, 神农架, 东北虎豹 means northeast tiger and leopard, 前江源、武夷山 and 南山 and 海南 热带雨林 热带雨林 in Chinese means tropical rainforest. So altogether there are 10 pilot national parks. I attached two maps here. You can see the geographical description of the 10 pilot national parks in China. So actually, they are scattered in different parts of China, and with Sanjiangyuan is the largest one. So Sanjiangyuan is here. You can see this one is very big, very big. But the rest of them is not so big. The smallest one is Putacho National Park. Putacho National Park is just about 600 square kilometers. It's very small. I made a table. So from this table, you can see the basic information of the 10 pilot national parks. You can see the pilot time, location, area, and the population living there. So Sanjiangyuan is the largest one in terms of area, but the Giant Panda National Park is the most populated. So you can see the people living in the Giant Panda National Park is more than 120,000. So it's very populated. Next, I would like to show you some pictures of the 10 pilot national parks. This one is the Sanjiangyuan National Park. You can see the landscape is very unique. It lies in the Tibetan plateau, and particularly in Qinghai province. The area is 123,100 square kilometers. It's bigger than many provinces in China. It inhabited by 62,000 persons. So the purpose to establish the Sanjiangyuan National Park is mainly for protecting the natural existing in the headstream areas of the Yellow River, the Yangtze River, and the Mekong River, as well as the wildlife living there, like Tibetan antelope and the snow leopard. Actually, Sanjiangyuan National Park is also the first pilot national park designated by the central government of China. The second largest one is Qilianshan National Park. Qilianshan National Park is also located in Qinghai province. The area of Qilianshan National Park is about more than 50,000 square kilometers, and it is more populated compared with the Sanjiangyuan National Park. The purpose to establish this park is mainly for protecting the fragile alpine ecosystem in Qilian Mountain and the wildlife living there, like wild yak and snow leopard. In 2019, I did a field investigation in this park. This park is very beautiful. You can see the scenery. You You can see the snow mountains and the grassland. So it's very nice. And the third largest one is the JIan National Park. This park located in 3 different provinces. That is Sichuan province, Shanxi province, and the Gansu province. But the biggest part is in Sichuan province. The area of this park is about 27,000 and 134 square kilometers. As I said before, this one is the most populated pilot national park. The inhabitants living there is about is more than 100,000. The purpose for this park is very obvious. It's mainly for protecting the giant pandas and their habit. This one is the northeast tiger and leopard national park. This park is located in northeast of China, in Jilin and Heilongjiang province. Is shared by the 2 provinces. Its area is about 14,612 square kilometers, and it is also established for protecting some very special wild animals, that is Siberian tiger and Emir leopard and their habits. This one is Hainan Tropical Rainforest Pilot National Park. This national park is located in Hainan province. Hainan is an island, as you may know, to the south, in south of China. The area of Hainan Tropical Rainforest National Park is about 4,400 square kilometers. It is also inhabited by a lot of people. The purpose for this park is protecting the tropical rainforest ecosystem and the wildlife living there, like the people. Rainforest, as you may know, actually is very rarely seen in China. Only you can see it in very few places, such as Hainan and Yunnan province. And this one is the Shenlongjia Pilot National Park. Shenlongjia National Park is located in Hubei province. This one is not very big. The area is about 1,184 square kilometers, and it's also inhabited by 15,800 persons. This national park is established mainly for protecting the North subtropical evergreen broadleaf forest ecosystem and the wildlife living there, like a golden monkey. So this is the Shenlongjia. And this one is Wuyuan Pilot National Park. Wuyuan National Park is located in Fujian province. It's about 1,000 square kilometers big. The people living there is not so much, only about 3,300 persons. The purpose, as I know, for establishing this park is for protecting the North subtropical evergreen broadleaf forest ecosystem and the amazing sandstone landform standing there. You can see the landscape is quite different and also very beautiful. This one is the JIan Pilot National Park. This national park is located in Zhejiang province. And the area is no more than 1,000 square kilometers, but it's inhabited by nearly 10,000 people. The purpose for establishing this park is to protect the middle subtropical evergreen broadleaf forest ecosystem and the wildlife living there. And this one is Nanshan Pilot National Park. Nanshan Pilot National Park lies in Fulan province. Its area is only 636 square kilometers. The purpose for establishing this park is for protecting the middle subtropical evergreen broad-leaved forest ecosystem, just like the JIan National Park. And the smallest one is this one, Peng Pilot National Park. It's located in Yunnan province. And the area is about 602 square kilometers. The purpose for this park is to protect the alpine forest ecosystem and the wildlife live there. So now, all these are the 10 pilot national parks. So in 2021, last year, based on the pilot efforts, the Chinese President Xi Jinping announced the birth of the first group of 5 formal national parks of China. In the 15th conference of the parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Biodiversity, they are Sanjiangyuan, Giant Panda, Northeast Tiger and Leopard, AYSA, and Highland Tropical Rainforest. So only 5 of the 10 pilot national parks are designated as the formal national parks. So it marks China now has its own national parks. Formal one instead of pilot ones. So as that's the overall very general and brief introduction to the process and the progress of national park creation in China. Next, I would like to say something about the status quo of tourism or development in the existing Chinese national parks. As you may know that tourism development in national park is very popular in national parks around the world. But the situation is a little bit different in China. According to our knowledge, the tourism development in the pilot national parks of China is very uneven, especially before they were designated as pilot national parks. Among the 10 pilot national parks, only a few of them are very well-known tourist destinations, not just in China, but also the world. For example, both AYSA and Shenlongjia were designated as World Heritage Site before they became pilot national parks. So every year, AYSA and Shenlongjia can receive a lot of tourists, millions of them. So tourism development has created a lot of jobs for the local people living there. However, due to various reasons, tourism development in most pilot national parks is not so booming as that in AYSA and Shenlongjia, particularly in Sanjiangyuan, Qilishan, and Northeast Tiger and Leopard. Although amazing natural sceneries and really seeing wildlife are preserved. So, they have a lot of attractions, attractiveness for tourists, but the tourism development is not so good. So I will talk about the reasons later. So, and certainly I would like to briefly say something about the role of tourism in alleviating the livelihood difficulty of local residents caused by park creation. It is well known that China is a huge country inhabited by nearly 14 billion people. So China is very populated. There always live a lot of people for generations within or near national parks. So most of them have their livelihood heavily dependent on park resources, particularly in developing countries. I mean, this is a very common phenomenon, not only in China, but also in many other developing countries. But in China, the situation is more hard. I mean, the livelihood impact of park creation is bigger. The primary goal for Chinese government to establishment a national park system is to protect the integrity and the authenticity of the large natural ecosystem in the country. According to a document, the overall planning for establishing a national park system. This document is issued by the central government of China in 2017. It explicitly stated that national parks should be protected in strictest manner. As a result, so the traditional livelihoods of park residents, like grazing, farming, and collecting, are greatly influenced by park creation. So many local residents cannot continue their livelihood, particularly those residents living in the core protected area, and they have to find alternative livelihood. So this picture is in Chinatown National Park, and many local people make their living by grazing livelihood. And this one is showing that some Tibetan people collecting Chinese caterpillar fungus. I'm not sure if you know what Chinese caterpillar fungus. It's a kind of Chinese medicine which is very expensive and have a very good price. So local people can make a lot of money by collecting and selling Chinese caterpillar fungus. So in terms of tourism, actually we all know that tourism is a labor-intensive industry. Its development in national park can generate a lot of job opportunities, which usually have no requirement for knowledge and skill. So tourism jobs, I think, is very suitable for park residents, particularly those with poor education. In this sense, I think tourism can have great potential in alleviating the livelihood difficulty confronting local residents through providing them with considerable alternative job opportunities. However, the role of tourism in solving the livelihood difficulty of local residents is restrained by a lot of factors. So next, I would like to talk about the factors restraining the potential of tourism as an alternative livelihood for park residents. According to our survey, speed survey, and the knowledge of some national parks in China, the factors are limiting the potential of tourism as an alternative livelihood for local residents mainly covers two aspects. One is the size of tourism cake. Usually, the bigger the cake is, the more alternative jobs tourism can generate. I mean, if a national park can receive more tourists, of course it can create more jobs. And the other one is the ability of local residents to be involved in tourism. In general, the stronger their involvement ability are, the bigger the cake they can get is, and the more possibly they would like to they would make tourism as their alternative livelihood. And the size of tourism cake is usually influenced by some factors such as natural factors, economic factors, and policy factors. And the involvement ability of local residents are usually influenced by household factors. So let's take a look at the natural factors and its impacts. In some national parks of China, the development of tourism is restrained by natural factors like climate, landform, natural disasters, and sometimes dangers from big wild animals. So, for example, in Sanjiangyuan and Qilianshan, although they have amazing natural sceneries, they are not very popular tourist destination. Visitors they receive each year are much less than that in Yushan and Shenlongjiang. Specifically, for example, in Sanjiangyuan National Park, the average altitude in this park is more than 4,000 meters above the sea level. So many people have a worry about the altitude sickness problem, and this often scares them away to this park. So Sanjiangyuan National Park might be the least visited national park in the 10 national parks of China. And in Qilianshan National Park and also Sanjiangyuan National Park, due to the influence of the high altitude, Qilianshan National Park is also very, very high. The climate is usually very cold. In most of time a year, and the tourism season of the year is very short. Usually only 3 to 4 months from June to September, and consequently, it is hard for local residents to make a long and stable living by engaging tourism. So from this picture, you can see this is a temporary camp established by local Tibetan people in Qilianshan National Park. When we did our field research there, I interviewed the manager of this camp, and they told us that the running time for this camp is only 2 to 3 months. Usually from July to September. Before and after that, the climate is very cold and the tourists is very few, so it's very short. For some homestay, they are confronting the same questions and situations. And the second factor is economic factors. For those national parks far away from developed regions, such as Sanjiangyuan and Qilianshan, and also Northeast Taiwan and Nepal, the travel cost is usually very high. So the poor locality and accessibility greatly reduce the people's visiting intention. And another okay. And besides, in those areas where national parks lies, the economic development usually falls back compared with the neighboring areas. So local government often does not have much money to promote the development of tourism. So this is the limitation from economic factors, and also the third factor is policy factors. Since the primary purpose for the Chinese central government to establish its national park system is to protect the integrity and authenticity of large ecosystem in the country. So a management philosophy of protection first is emphasized and practiced in all national parks. As a result, national park tourism are restrained greatly, but it's different in different national parks. So it inevitably limits the potential of tourism as an alternative livelihood. So, for example, in Qineng National Park, Qineng County, Qineng County is a county in the heartland of Qineng National Park. This county decided to close some tourist attractions within or near the park to make sure tourism does not impair the nature protection there. So here is a table. You can see when we did our field investigation there in 2019, we were told that several tourist attractions were closed because of the pioneer establishment of national park. And some of them not, I mean, some of them do not lie within the national park, but just near the border, but they are also closed. So this policy has brought tremendous impact on the livelihood of local residents who depend on tourism to make their living. So this is a policy factor. And you can see, yeah, I would like to give you a more specific example. In Qineng County, there is a glacier called Bayi Glacier. The Bayi Glacier. This glacier is very famous among tourists. So every year there are thousands of tourists. They will drive to see this glacier. However, after the pioneer establishment of National Park of Qineng, this glacier was closed to the tourists. So you can see this board. This board is written in Chinese. It's along alongside a road, and it tells the tourist Bayi Binchuan will be closed. So because of this, many people will many people give up their plan to visit this county. So local people say the decrease of the vegetation of this county, and it has a lot of negative impact on their business. So this is the impact of policy makers. And finally, I would like to say something about the impact of household factors. In addition to the size of tourism cake, the capability of local residents to involve in tourism is another important factor in influencing the potential of tourism as an alternative livelihood. Some household level factors apparently restrain the capability and the willingness of local residents to have alternative livelihood by engaging tourism related jobs. And according to our survey, these factors covers many different aspects of a household. We made some interviews of 68 households of local residents. And they told us if they want to run a homestay or do some tourism related business, there are a lot of restraining factors, including financial capitals, experience, knowledge and skill, the workforce, education, language, age, social capital, and the location of their house. So among them, short of money is one of the biggest. The number one limiting factors at the household level. So you can see more details from this table. So finally, I would like to give you some my reflections on this phenomenon. Due to adopting the philosophy of strictest protection, China's effort to establish a national park system has brought unprecedented challenges to the livelihood of local residents. Many of them have to find alternative livelihood to make their livings. In the official document issued by the central government of China, national parks functions like recreation and environmental education are mentioned, but their importance are emphasized much less than nature protection. So, in my opinion, no matter how nature protection is emphasized in Chinese national park is still a park in essence. So, as a park, it must be open to the public. In this sense, tourism should not be excluded or restrained arbitrarily, and its rational development should be encouraged and integrated into the overall planning of national park in an ecologically sustainable way. And tourism should have played a bigger role in solving the livelihood issues confronting park managers as well as their local residents. Park policy makers should reconsider the role of tourism in park management and seek to make the cake of tourism bigger to create more job opportunities for those local residents influenced by park creation. So on one hand, the development of tourism should be encouraged appropriately in national park, but its negative impacts must be controlled to acceptable extent and not threaten the protection goal for which a national park is established for. So on the other hand, I think local residents who is in need of alternative livelihoods due to park creation should be helped to enhance their ability to involve in tourism. So by this efforts, I think tourism can play a bigger role in alleviating the livelihood problems of local residents. So Professor Wang, I think that's all of my talk. Thanks for your attention. I'm so sorry for not greeting my audience before I start my talk. So I would like to say that good evening and good morning. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's an excellent talk to us, and so I think the audience will probably have a lot of questions. Can I ask you one or two questions first? So you came from Minzu University, right? So
yes.
Is there any policy in China? You were just mentioned about the national park in China right now. It's not like the national park before, and also it's quite different than the national park in North America. So it's restricted, protected, right? It's tourism development is not allowed to do in this moment. And so I agree with you, the reflection, this is all the very good point. But for the one thing I haven't heard from you is about the traditional knowledge. Yeah, it was mentioned that so many people was living in Sanjiang, all those national park. So what kind of policy that Chinese government have for using the traditional knowledge for the protection, more effective protection for the ecosystem in those national parks? This is one question. So it's instead of the passive poverty reduction, is there any way use the traditional knowledge to be like a active poverty reduction, like use that traditional knowledge, is not compromised with the ecosystem service, but also with helping to raise their living standard. So this is my first question. That's probably you go first. The question one first, and I will ask you the second question. It's quite
Okay.
Mhm.
It's a long question, and also it's also complex. I think local people have some traditional knowledge, which is comparable to the environmental protection. But currently, the policymakers of national park in China, they want to achieve the goal of strictest protection. So even local people have some very good traditional knowledge. They are not allowed to live in the core protected areas. They have to be they are required to be relocated out of the national park. For example, in JIan National Park, we are told by local people. They said most of them make their living by grazing livelihood, by grazing livestock. Actually, the grazing in for the grassland, grazing actually is not I mean not absolutely a bad thing. Sometimes it is good for the maintenance of the grassland with some moderate grazing. But I don't think the park authorities at the local levels they can hear the suggestions. I mean the local farmers and local people, they want to make their continue their grazing in the park. Even the grazing is not bad to the grassland, but they have to be relocated out of the park. So yeah, it's very regrettable. We talked to local officials, but some of them don't want to make the local people get out of the park. But because of the the policy comes from top down, and so they have to follow this. So to make the so-called
we lost.
I think Professor Peng. Now it's frozen. It's frozen.
Oh yeah.
Can you guys just wait for a bit, and I think Professor Peng will be back soon. I think the background noise, it came from somewhere, right? Okay. Is there any question from you guys? You can write it in. Oh, Professor Peng is back. You are on mute. Professor Peng, you are on mute.
Okay, I'm so sorry for for the disconnection. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's happened though. It's always happen. So I got a second question. We have the 10 pilot national park. Now have the 5 national park was announced last year. Is there any benefit, any institutional change or the financial change for the national park and the local people? it's just the name change, or they have all the incentive to the national park. For example, like it's more money came to the national park for construction, or the more like the economic support to the local people, or what kind of, you know, it seems like we cannot see any benefit for the park and the local people. Is there anything I'm missing here?
Okay. I just published a paper in Journal of Sustainability, and yeah, based on our research in Jinashan National Park, and we found that the local people can benefit economically from national park in some aspects. For example, in Sanjiangyuan and Qilianshan national parks, they have some a system called ecological guard. I mean, some local residents can be employed by the government to as a guard to protect the national park from damaging. So they are paid. They are paid by the local government. The salary I remember is about 1,700 yuan per month. So yeah, but only one member of a family can get this job. So actually, this is something like a compensation for the protection of the natural resource in the park. This one is practiced in some national parks. But actually, in different pilot national parks, the government adopted different policies to help local people get rid of the livelihood difficulty. For example, in Highland Province, in the Highland Tropical Rainforest National Park, as I know that many local people who lived in the core protected areas of this park are resettled out of the national park. But after they are resettled, and the local government have took a lot of measures to help them to develop some, to make an alternative livelihood, such as I don't know how to say that in Chinese, 就是养殖业啊。So so according to the report, because I have never been there, so according to the report by some media, all of the people, I mean the local residents, have their jobs. They have better housing, and they have maybe more income from this from the park creation. So, and maybe in other national parks, the policies are different. There is a paper which talked about this. I would like to share it with you. It's written in Chinese. It talks about the different policies the government adopted to help local people.
Okay, thank you. I know that in the eastern part of the national park, they have the local government support is quite large, and but for the western part, I was heard from TNC, one of the professor from UC Berkeley will talk to me that even like the how to say that, the living standard actually going down because this government not allowed them to do any activity. And you would just mention that they're training them to be the national park guard, right? It's like a ranger, but the salary is so low compared to the income they have before the national park was established. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, at least in Chilean national park, this is true. This is true. They can get some compensation by by being a ecological guardian guards, but the loss I mean the loss they bear is more than what they get. So they I think for the moment the negative impacts are bigger than the positive ones, particularly in terms of the the economic income.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have two questions. Actually,
Okay.
one question and one comment.
Professor,
Can I hear you now?
yeah, I can hear you. Your voice is too low.
Yeah, your volume too loud.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, much
Yeah,
better.
okay, yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
I have one question and one comment. The question is very straightforward, simple. Do you know when the government last year decided 5 formal national parks, what criteria did they use? In other words, what factors do you think and it might influence the decision made? Or for other 5 pilot parks, they are not the formal parks right now. Is that because, as you mentioned, because the cakes of tourism were not too big enough, or for other factors, for your opinion?
I'm so sorry. I really have no idea about why is these 5 parks are designated as the formal national parks last year. I think it has nothing to do. I mean, I don't think it has something to do with the cake size of tourism. I think maybe there are a lot of different considerations for choosing these 5 national parks as the formal ones. For example, Hailan, the Hailan Tropical Rainforest National Park. This park was designated as pilot national park in 2019, just 2 years ago, before it was declared as a formal one. The time is very short for them to do the pilot things, right? But they finally, get into the list. So I was confused. Maybe it's because of the, the consideration of its ecological significance, and also maybe there are some, some other considerations. For Wuyisan National Park, I don't know why, because the rest of 4 formal national parks, from Sanjiangyuan to Jade Panda to Northeast Tiger and Leopard, and including Highland Tropical Rainforest, all of them are designated as a pilot national park by the central government of China, instead of by the effort of local government. But Wuyisan is different. So actually, I was also confused with the result. Maybe another consideration, I guess, is the management model. Because for example, in some pilot national parks, there are a lot of management problems they are facing, and they are not well resolved. So, for example, in Shenlongjia, so maybe I just I'm not so sure of this. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. And my second is just for clarification. you have one slide with the population within the 10 pilot national parks, the population living in the parks. So that's the population before or at the time when the parks are decided at the pilot parks, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So it's just my thought that it might make sense if you could, you might already have the data, but just in case, if we separate, recall that we met in the Shenlongjia National Park in 2008, that,
Yeah.
after we met there, after the conference, we visited the Dajiuhu, the tourism, the former national wetland, the lake protected areas. They completely removed the resident there to the designated areas outside of their so-called core protected areas. So if your data, the population data, could separate and showing the total population living within the park and the percentage of the population that were required moving out of the park or moving out of the protected area of a park to other areas. Like using Shenlongjia as the example, they moved the people from Dajiuhu, the wetland protected areas, to the southeast corner, but still within the park, within the designated the education and the tourism development areas. So that will change the spatial distribution of the populations within the park. So there's one strategy to use. So this is related to the footprint of the population within the parks. So it might make sense, and if you could study, or someone could study the footprint, the spatial distribution of the footprint of the population, human population, and the economic impact within the national park in relationship to their protected areas and the buffer zones and the areas designated for development, for tourism, for education, or for the local, economic development. So that may make more sense to see how the tourism or the human impact to the national parks protection. I know one of the factors is that related to politics, political reasons why some parks, they even, I heard that they refuse to be a formal national parks due to some interest, not the local interest and the local government interest with the local indigenous people, the resident interest. So there's a very complex. But if we could separate that, when you say, when you design the cake, for the tourism, want to make the tourism cake bigger, and with the consideration of the spatial footprint within the park, and within the greater park's ecosystem outside the park's boundary, so that may be, helpful for the policy development and also for the local economic development. It's just my comments. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. I agree. But I don't have the data which can separate, the people relocated out of the national park and the rest from the rest. I don't have this data, but it's very interesting. So all the data are just showing the population size before they are designated as the pilot national parks.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Something you might consider, for your research, working with the national parks. I think it can make sense and make some interesting result to be useful for the local government and also for the national parks agency in China for their planning and designing purpose. Thank you.
Thank you too. Actually, they sometimes it's very hard to do research in Chinese national parks because the data sometimes is not available. Particularly the data concerning the population, concerning local people is very confidential, and So it's very hard to get the data.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, when we did our field investigation in Qilianshan National Park, it's very hard because we sometimes local officials would not like to accept our interview. They refuse it because it's everything is in progress, right? So
Yeah.
so many things are confidential. So
yes,
yeah,
yes, that's true.
thank you.
Thank you.
Professor Peng. So I also have some questions. Thank you for
Okay.
sharing the great talk. Like so, we got a lot of information that like about the local people, like they lost their traditional livelihood is in the national park. But on the other side, so like I think as a tourist, we understand that like actually the tourist the business for the tourism it's quite big, like but mostly run by the people probably not from the local but from from other regions. So do you maybe not inside the natural park but some city like another really far away, so do you think there are like a big conflict for the between the local local residents and the people like running the business from outside from other regions? So what's your understanding?
Okay, it's a good question, Susie. Actually, China, in China, the situation is maybe different from the rest of the other parts of the world, because China is a socialism country, as you may know. So the tourism business are usually run by some enterprises funded by the government. For example, in Putacho and Shenlongjia, and maybe including Wuyishan, the state-owned tourism company will run the whole business, including accommodation, restaurants, and souvenir, something like that. So I mean, these companies are not they are not from far away, big cities. So usually they are also most of them are local people. So I didn't say the conflicts you mentioned between local residents and the companies. So because maybe in American or in other parts of the world, this business are run by some big companies from far away place, but China no, usually. Okay, something is wrong with my connection. It's not stable. It says, yeah. So for example, in Qilianshan, when we did our research in 2019, in Qilian County, there is a tourist attraction. This attraction is very close to the border of the national park, and this attraction is run by a company, mainly controlled by local government. So a lot of I think there are a lot of residents, local people, they get a job working for this company as to work in the visitor center or other parts. So I didn't hear any conflicts between them. So, but after they are designated as a part of national parks, because of the nature protection. I mean, the strictest protection. So so there is a conflict between the tourist company and the government. I mean, the conflict doesn't arise in the in the field between local residents and the company. So that's my understanding. Thank you for your question.
Yeah,
May
thank you.
I have a short question?
Sure.
I'm firstly very thank you for showing so fantastic pictures. It's like tourism online. But I want to
Thank you.
ask a question is about my research. I'm focusing on how climate change will affect tree species distribution and also ecosystem distribution. And I heard that you mentioned different national parks, they might have different purpose. For example, Hainan is for protecting rainforest, tropical rainforest ecosystem, and others might for alpine ecosystem. I just have a short question, like because climate change, the boundary of the ecosystem might be different in the future. So would it be possible that the boundary of the national park would make adjustment, or they will stay just they are?
This is a very good question, but I think the answer is also complex. For example, the boundaries of a national park is not stable right now. They will be adjusted, according to some considerations. For example, sometimes they will consider the livelihood of local people, and sometimes they will consider the size or the scope of the habits for some wild animals, special wild animals. I don't think the Chinese government will adjust the national park boundaries according to the climate change. Yeah. Yeah. Even there is yesterday there is a document called in Chinese 国家公园管理办法 was issued online, and it's trying to collect some opinions from the public. And according to this document, it says the boundaries of a national park must be confirmed after in 1 year, after its establishment. So this is quite complex. I mean, to confirm where is the national park, where is not the national park. But the climate, I don't think climate change is has a bigger role in these things.
Yeah, because climate change, the alpine ecosystem might be moved higher, like move higher elevation. So
yeah.
But it takes time. So yeah. So it might be hard to reset the boundaries.
Yeah, maybe they will do this according to the impact of the climate change. But right now, for this moment, I don't think so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Hey, Dr. Peng, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for your good lecture. And I also did field work in Chilean Mountain National Park.
Really?
And I also
yes,
and I also have been to Chilean County. Many attractions there, like Jor Mountain, yeah.
Jor
and
Mountain,
yes, and blossom of red flower, Yu Cai Hua. I mean, yes.
Yes. So when did you go there?
Last year.
Last year.
May, yeah, in May.
Okay.
And I'm very great. I very agree with you point in your PowerPoint that Chilean Mountain National Park is not a very popular attraction compared with other protected areas such as Wuyi Mountain National Park or yes, yes, and Shenongjia National Park. And the tourism industry there did not develop very well as other protected areas. Also, I also ask some residents about their incomes. Actually, animal husbandry is the main source of income of the residents. Also, in some family, they can learn some, and they can earn about even in one family. I just went to talk to them. They can earn about even $1 million RMB per year based on the animal husbandry before the protected area set up. I just want to ask, will the government have to make their plan? Will they have some compatible indicators? Maybe, and because we know that now in the protected areas, animal husbandry and other economic activities are banned in these areas. Will they make some adjustment, or do you have a good suggestion for the development for local communities, because they cannot totally rely on the tourism industry?
Yes. I think tourism is not the only way.
Yes.
For local residents to get rid of their livelihood difficulty. There are some other ways. For example, in recent years, some researchers called that we can develop some so-called ecological farm products, something like that, which can have higher price on the market because they are they are from the national park, right? So they can buy these things. If we can put a brand to this agricultural products, so the local farmers can make more money. So in this way, they can do their traditional livelihood instead of tourism, because although tourism don't have a very high requirement of knowledge and skills, but anyway, it's a different livelihood way. So local people have to learn something new, but in this way, they don't have to change their livelihood. They can do it like before, but after the branding effort, so they can have a higher price and they can get more income. So this is also another way I know that local government is doing. They're trying to help this the local people. Tourism cannot develop everywhere in the national park, right? Just in some places.
Yes.
I think it should have played a bigger role, but unfortunately, currently the situation is not so optimistic. So yeah, we should adopt diverse
industry.
Diverse industry, diverse method to help them.
Yes.
Yeah, frankly speaking, I'm confident with this because I think Chinese government can do a lot of things because of the political system of China. They have the advantages to do this.
Yes, I agree, and thanks for your information. And I also found that they can develop their industry maybe outside the core protected area. I have found there are some farms, or how to there are some maybe the factories just built outside the general protected areas and protected areas to produce some products. Yes.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, but it will take time. Thank you for question.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mama, you have a question, right?
Hello, Professor Peng. Thanks for your
Hi.
wonderful presentation. I'm
Thank you,
interested in how to enhance the capability of local households to involve the tourism. Can you introduce some current support policy by local government and how to further improve these policies? Thank you.
Okay, it's a very good question. As I know, I mean, at the moment when we did the research, we didn't find any effort by the local government to help the local farmers to enhance their ability to be involved in tourism. But I think, they can do a lot of things to help them. For example, they can organize some training program, right? So training about how to do accommodation, how to make dishes, how to make food, something like that. And also they can also can make some financial policies, some, for example, to give some loans to the people in need of this. So actually, they can do a lot of things, but I'm not so sure because in this moment tourism is not encouraged. So the local government, I mean, they think nature protection is the most important thing in their mind. So tourism, no, not the number one things, right? So but maybe in the future, when the national park, when they make sure the national park is well protected, they will consider the development of tourism. So maybe at that time, they will take some measures to help the local people. Or if they want to be involved with tourism, they can get some help from the government, I think, but not right now.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Okay, I think we are, oh, they still have quite a question. Wengo, you have a question, right?
Yeah, and thank you, Dr. Peng. And main reason to build the national parks, and every national parks has its different situations. So it's the government, is the government using the same criteria to evaluate the ecology protection?
Oh, I'm so sorry because something is wrong with my computer. So just now I didn't focus on your question. Could you please repeat it again? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. My question is there any criteria for the ecology protection of the several national parks? Because each national park has its own situation of the ecology.
You mean the criteria for establishing a national park?
No, not established, but for the development of the protection. Yeah, because several years, I think maybe the government should evaluate the situation of the protection, so we can know about how the policies work. It's beneficial or it's not beneficial. So the criteria is very important. But each national park has its own situation. So, and there are many different criteria about the ecology protection. So I'm wondering if there is a unique criteria for ecology evaluation.
Actually, I don't have much knowledge about this question, but I think every national park is established for maybe for different purpose. So the criteria for this it should be different. But I haven't took part in the job of national park assessment. So I really don't know what the criteria is. I mean specifically. So I'm so sorry about that. Maybe I cannot answer your question.
Okay. Thank you. And my second question is about the local people, because local people there some local people form into a big community, and for Sanjiangyuan National Park, maybe many local communities are separated, and those local people communities are small. So what's the different policies to deal with the different situation? Can you share with me some policies about this?
I'm so sorry too, because I have never been to Sanjiangyuan National Park. I know there are a lot of people living within that park, and also maybe they are scattered spatially. But in terms of the specific policy adopted by local government to help them or deal with them, all I know is that they are, all of them, every household in this park, they have one quota, one family member can get the job of ecological guard, and they are paid by the government for this job. So there is no difference among them. All of them get this job. But maybe there are other differences or other policies adopted by the local government, but I don't know. Yeah, so I'm so sorry also about this question. I can't answer it very well. I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
I think we are getting late now. It's so I hope that you can learn a lot, and I need to specifically thank you for thank you, Dr. Peng, for your excellent
Thank you
talk,
too.
and also for the Q&A session. I also thank to our audience. Stay late with me. It's 7:30 in Vancouver. So I have to say goodbye, and then we will see you next week. In the 5 o'clock, we had Professor Dr. Xu will talk about geopark and geo-education and geotourism. Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you, Dr. Wu. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Dr. Peng.
Thank you, Professor Wang. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Keep
much.
in touch.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Keep in touch. Yeah.